Ever look around your home and think, wow, those outlets really bring down the vibe? So I decided to change that, and the solution came from inexpensive thrift store frames. First, I cut a thin piece of scrap wood to fit perfectly into the back opening of the more ornate frame. This was going to act as a solid base. Since smooth surfaces don't always hold glue well, I roughed up the wood with very coarse sandpaper to give the adhesive something to grip onto. On the back of the wood piece, I carefully measured for center and level so the plug covers would end up exactly where the real outlet would be. Next, I grabbed a few plug safety covers. Same deal, sanded them down so the epoxy would stick better. To keep them perfectly aligned, I used a spare outlet part I had removed from elsewhere as a guide while I epoxied the covers in place. When shopping for frames, do be sure to look for ones that are not real heavy. This one already had a sturdy backing, so after carefully removing the stand, I just used what was there. I roughed up the back with coarse sandpaper and roughed up the surface of the plastic plug covers and epoxied everything together. While that epoxy was curing, I printed out a photo of black and white marble I had taken a while ago, slid it behind the cleaned up glass, and when the epoxy was cured, reassembled the frame. Back upstairs in the kitchen, it was time to try out the new framed outlet covers. The end result? Instead of glaring at boring outlet covers, I now have artwork on my wall that happens to serve a purpose.
I have been looking for a way to cover my ugly thermostat, and I think I just found the perfect thing. Now I want to double check and mark the size of my thermostat on the inside of the basket. I want to cut a hole into the top of the basket and cut some of it away. With the hole cut, I want to get some flowers ready to put in the basket. To keep the basket where I want it over my thermostat, I'm just going to use 2 small nails. This is going to allow me to pop it off anytime I need to. The last thing to do is fill my basket with the pretty flowers and greenery. I couldn't be happier with how well this pretty basket covers my ugly thermostat. It was the perfect solution. I hope this has inspired you to grab a basket if your thermostat needs a spruce up as well.
Customize your light switch covers with these 4 easy hacks. Grab some napkins, apply Mod Podge to the light cover switch, place the napkin on top, and gently wrap the napkin over the edges of the cover. Trim the excess and apply Mod Podge on the top of the napkin and poke the screw holes out. 2. Grab some washi tape and place on a light cover switch. Wrap around the edges and keep adding tape until it is completely covered. Poke the screw holes and you're done. 3. Grab some scrap wallpaper and trim a little bigger than the light switch cover. Use hot glue on the edges to wrap and secure the wallpaper over the light switch cover. Trim the corners to reduce the bulk, and then cut out the center hole and wrap it to the back. Poke the screw holes through. 4. Grab some adhesive shelf liner and cut it a little bigger than the light switch cover. Peel the backing off, apply to the light switch cover, and trim the corners before wrapping it around the back. I used a blow dryer to smooth it out and it helped it stick better. Cut the center hole and wrap it to the back. Now you have 4 unique ideas for creating custom light switch covers. I hope this inspired you to create your own light switch cover.
I wanted to modify my air vent to make it prettier looking, but I wanted to keep the existing outer frame since it's a unique size and shape. I wanted a project that would keep the dampers so that I could continue having this movable part to adjust airflow as I needed it. I removed my air vent and took a look at how it was put together. I could see that the slats were held in place by these little knobs at the end. Removing these just using a flathead screwdriver. Then I cut the vent slats themselves using a pair of tin snips, and then I was able to wiggle them and pull them out. I went to Home Depot and found a decorative piece of mesh that I wanted to add. I cut it to size and sat it into the AC vent. It sat deeply into the vent, but I did want it to sit closer to the top of the vent so that it all looked a little bit more level. That's when I decided that I could utilize the holes that were left in the sides of the vent. I tested out some skewers from my kitchen and found that they fit perfectly through the holes. I dipped the ends of the skewers into a little bit of liquid nail so that when I put it back into the holes, the liquid nail would be there to harden everything into place. Once those were in place, then I took my metal grate and I placed it right on top after having added a little bit more liquid nail to the back of that. I cleaned everything off with a damp paper towel and then allowed it to dry. As a final step, to make sure that everything looked properly finished And also, to make sure that the metal grate is firmly in place, I added a bead of white caulk all around the edges. After that, the only thing left was to put it back into place and then open the damper to the position that I wanted for the room. I think it looks great, the airflow is fantastic, and it was a nice and easy upgrade to my home that only cost about $20.
I've got this old extension cord just sitting around and I don't like the look of it. First thing I'm gonna do is take some cardboard outside and lay it down. And then I ordered off Amazon some ball pit balls. But the problem is, how do you paint them? They just float everywhere. I quote, borrowed some pins from my wife. And what I'm gonna do is stick those up through the back of the cardboard and I'm gonna place the ball on top very carefully because they are sharp and push it down. I'm gonna do this to every single one. Look how good that holds right there. So I'll take the next one, place the pin through the back, and again, put the ball right on top. I can keep going down each row and do this. You want to hold the back of the pin while you're doing this so that it doesn't push through. As you can see, I'm going to put out two different layers. One is going to be painted white and the other side black. Now I did paint on a little bit on a windy day, but I got nice and close and I put little squirts of paint on. If you do too much paint, it's going to run, so you got to be very careful. You may have to do 2 coats. As you can see, there's going to be some gaps, but that's okay. I'll show you what we're going to do later. I'm going to do the white on one side and the black on the other. Again, making sure I just do little squirts so I don't get too much of some running. Once I get all of that in and it's painted and it looks good, it's time to flip them over. I may have got a little impatient and didn't wait for them to dry all the way. Got a little bit on my hand, but you just pull the balls off, hold the back of the pins with one hand, and push it on through. Once you get those all pulled over, we can go ahead and start painting the other side. Now, again, just do little squirts and don't put too much. Once I get those covered, they're gonna look really good. Again, like the black covered nice, and I'm gonna pull that off. And then I can take the safety pin out and watch this. There we go. It's like I never borrowed it. And then what we can do is take an X-Acto knife or any kind of sharp knife, and we're gonna put a little hole on one side. Now it can be square, diamond shape, not a big deal. Cut it through, and then you're gonna go the exact opposite side and put the same size hole. This is what's gonna go around our extension cord. You wanna make sure it's just high enough and big enough to cover it. Then down the seam of the ball, which is the toughest part, we're gonna go ahead and cut from one side to the other, only on one side though. Once we get it all the way cut around and all the way through, then we can slide the cord on. So we're gonna put it on right here, starting with one of the black balls, starting first, and watch this. We're gonna push it together, and then what we can do is use some super glue to hold it in place. Once we hold it for about 10 to 15 seconds, it's good. We're gonna alternate white to black all the way down. Just keep doing it and put hot glue on. Once I get that on, look at this. I'm gonna plug it in. Oh, actually it looks really good. It matches the decor of our house, but you can choose any colors you want, especially around Christmas. Can you imagine? I hope you enjoyed this project as much as I did making it.
I have a light in my work area, and unfortunately the shade fell and broke. Looking through my supplies, I found this burlap covered metal ring that fits perfectly around the light fixture. To give the light fixture some depth, I've pulled out 12 beads from my pile, 2 in each size that I had. I want to create strands of beads that I can hang off the metal ring. So I'm going to thread the 12 beads from largest to smallest onto a thin piece of this jute twine. With all of the beads strung, it's time to add them to the metal ring. To hold each strand of beads in place, I'm wrapping the end of the twine around the ring, and then I'm just going to use a little dab of hot glue to keep it in place. I've already gone ahead and put several plugs and hooks into the ceiling around the light fixture, so now all I have to do is slip the ring up over the light and then secure it onto the hooks. I'm absolutely loving how unique this boho chic light looks now. It's the perfect solution for this particular light.
If you have some bare windows that could use some added interest, here's what I did by simply heading outdoors first. I am measuring the width of my chosen windows, then cutting some grapevine branches to at least that length. I'm now selecting a support stake and cutting it down to the inside of each window. I'm cutting enough branches to create a small bundle for each window. Testing their size, I'm holding one bunch in a window, then penciling in where I'd like them to hang. Working with that pencil mark, I'm screwing in a closet dowel bracket, then adding one to the other side of the window at the same height, then positioning the support stake inside the brackets. Back to the branches, I'm ensuring one end of the branches are flush. Using some thin florist's wire, I'm placing the wire under the left and right sides of the branches, leaving lots of overage to work with. I'm now loosely twisting the wire to bundle up each of the sides of the branches, then double checking that the branch ends are flush so they will fit. Carrying the tied bundle to the windows, I'm using the wire overage to twist the bundled branches to the support stake. After attaching, I'm using some filler branches to beef up the bundles, making them appear as full as possible to resemble a twig roll-up blind. By adding some branches slightly longer than the inside of the window frame, it causes the branch to bend into place and fit tight, ending up helping to further support the bundles. And the finished result is a nature-inspired twiggy roll blind that adds warmth and interest to each window without keeping out any sunlight. I love how the woodsy look marries my hardwood floors and wood cabinets.
I hate that look in the kitchen, and it's dirty and it's gotta go. I removed the screws, but I also noticed it was painted on, so I had to use a knife to take it off. First thing we're gonna do is take a 1x2 pine board, and we're gonna cut a 45-degree angle, line it up on the inside of the vent, just like that, and then we'll mark it, and we're gonna cut also another 45. That's gonna give us our top and our bottom. We wanna make sure it fits and it's the right size though, so go ahead and use it and match it up. Next, we're gonna do the sides. Same thing, cut a 45-degree, and you can also use the first one you cut as a template. Just mark it and cut it. Once we get those 4 sides cut, we're gonna put those right on the workbench right there, clamp them down, use some wood glue, and we're gonna make our frame. Once you get it clamped up, just go ahead and use your nail gun. Also, we're gonna keep going on that frame and just go all the way around the edges and make a wonderful frame. Take that old vent, use it to mark the holes because we gotta cut those out, drill them in order to put our screws through to mount it to the wall. Once we get that done, it's time over to the scroll saw. Now, you can use a razor knife for this. I'm cheating a little bit because I do own a scroll saw and I love using it. These are 1/16 of an inch birch pieces of plywood. They're great for what we're gonna do. They're nice and thin and easy to cut. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make a landscape scene. This is my first layer that's gonna go on. Also, what I'm gonna do is take a router. This is something that you don't have to do, but since I have a router, I'm gonna do it. It makes an indentation so I can put those pieces of birch plywood on the inside and make it flush with the wall. Once I get it routed out, I'm gonna take some wood glue, go ahead and run it along the line there, and this is where my first piece of landscape is gonna go. I'm just gonna set that in. Now, this is a small piece because we're working from the front to the back. I'm gonna make sure that sets up really nice. Then what I'm gonna do is turn it over and I'm gonna paint it green because I want a nice lush lawn look. Paint that green, and I'm gonna actually dilute paint just a little bit with some water because I wanna see the wood grain come through. Next, it's time for a mountain scene. What I did was I wetted the brush on this foam brush here and I put some gray on. Now, by wetting it, what it does is it allows the gray to go on, but what I can do is take a damp cloth or a paper towel and I can just kind of blotch it and let that wood grain soak through. We're gonna run some wood glue and we're gonna put it in there. Again, the most important part is to let it set up, be patient, let that glue dry for a couple hours. Once you get your landscape done, again, on the back, we're gonna cut out a little bit of a mesh screen and staple it on. This is gonna finish our project, but we gotta mount it. So once we get this screen on, it's gonna get time to put it on the wall and put the screws in, and there it is. I live in California and I love looking outside and seeing the lush mountains. And if you think that the air doesn't get through, well, look at this. It does just right. And I think it turned out great. You can make any landscape you want, and it's better than looking at that ugly white grill. I hope you enjoyed this project as much as I did making it. Thank you for watching Home Talk, and we'll catch you next time.